Bones are white when you're dead, folks. They're purple. Blood spurting, cops getting off on it. I mean, you can see them break a guy's arm, and then the cops pull a billy club over and get in a little psycho enjoyment. Because, they dare sit out front of a clinic and try to stop something there. And I'm supposed to just think that's freedom. All of that is coming to the general public. Because the foreign banks want you to sit there while they take your farm, your ranch, your business, your tax money, through taxes, through regulations, through property taxes. And they want you to learn that it's normal and that it's loving and that it's good when the system does it. And then the system spins this and says, you're being anti-cop. No, I'm anti the police being turned into an army of darkness. I told you they'd use the military against us. I've seen the training forever. I told you they'd take guns. They've done it in drills across the country and in New Orleans. Now they're saying they're gearing up for it. I'm the best friend the military and the police will ever have. Because if this thing goes to a civil war, I will guarantee it's not going to be a cakewalk for you. People aren't going to wait in their houses for you to come SWAT team them at home once the gloves comes off, buddy, pal. The police are all going to lock themselves up in their little armored fortresses, and society's going to collapse, and nothing's going to move down the roads, and that's what the globalists plan in a civil war. It's in the IMF World Bank documents how they do it in third world countries. And a year later, after the rioting and the problems, people will beg for the military. Let's not go down this road. Let's not all be played as chumps. Here are some of the articles. This is from the article at a police officer website. This is actually an AP story. No, it's Reuters. Taser, upping zap power. And this is from a year ago, the second time they upped the power. There's not enough death from it, so you got to up that power. Tasers, police torture weapons, AFN.org. And it goes on to say, Orange County police use a taser, got an 18-year-old Orlando man who was tied to a hospital bed. The reason was the man refused to give a urine sample. And so they just began to taser him and taser him and taser him until he answered the question. And then we've got it in Kalamazoo Gazette, where the sheriffs did it. We've got it in the Olympian, where they did it in another place. And they've got all the towns, articles where they're doing it everywhere. Tell me who you are. Oh, didn't? Boom, I'm going to taser you. No Fifth Amendment. That's torture. And what do they say? What does the park ranger say when she tasered him? He's charged and was tasered for failure to obey a lawful order. Really? Got to answer your question. And the cops actually believe that's a lawful order because they got criminal judges and criminal prosecutors, most of them a bunch of narcotics traffickers, all on the take, sitting there telling you can do that. No, you can't, scum. It's called the Fifth Amendment. Shove it in a pipe and shove it in there good and smoke it. Now, I'm going to give the number out, and I'm going to take some calls. And when I'm done going to some of those, I'm going to show you and play you for radio listeners and TV viewers. I'm going to show you tobacco ads for kids, telling them it's good. Fred Flintstone likes it. And I'm going to show you doctors on TV saying cigarettes are delicious and wonderful. And I'm going to then show you Flintstones today saying aspartame's good for the kids. Okay? They know it's a Pentagon chemical weapon developed by the Pentagon to kill you and your family. The government is murdering criminals. I mean, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of being assaulted, having to spend all my time trying to avoid poison food and poison water. Got a bunch of globalist eugenicists murdering everybody, running around lecturing me all day about how it's good for the environment. My carbon dioxide's bad, but they're GMO, killing all the honeybees and screwing everything up's good, and thousands of studies that sterilizes every rodent they feed it to. I mean, we are in a world of hurt. And I want to shake people out of their morass. So many days I get up here and just control myself and get guests on. And I'm going to be honest with you, about 90% of the time I know more than all the guests do. And I just sit here because I like to talk to somebody else and hear their perspective. And then I interrupt when I want to make a point. It's good to have somebody like Ron Paul or Ellen Watt on because they know as much as I do or more. It's a very, or you get people on the show that understand part of the equation and are really smart in that area and surpass you in knowledge. When you do research later, you understand they've got a specialty area, but then they're real stupid in other areas. And I mean, I guess we all are. It's just, I'm not enemies with the globalist enforcement idiots. I realize they're just like the general public. They're under mind control. They're brainwashed in 100 different ways. But it doesn't make them any less dangerous. It doesn't make them any less more out of control. It doesn't make them any less disgusting. And I'll try to get through to as many people as I can. But I've just got to the point where I'm not going to mince words anymore, and I'm not going to play games with people. You've probably noticed I'm not talking much about the election. You've probably noticed I'm not talking about a lot about big issues. This one with Bill Gates comes out with a new product that sterilizes men. I'll be telling you about that. See, this show is actually about what's really affecting us. Now, within election 2012, we can inform folks about propaganda, spin, manipulation. Within Issa acting like he's going after Holder, but having to back off when Holder played the ace card, the ace of spades, that George W. Bush was involved in a previous program, identical. Of course, I told you months before that Holder would play that card, and he did. I mean, have you figured out we know what we're talking about? Have you figured out there's thousands of flavors of bull? This ain't where it's at. You know how creepy it is to know I'm right? You know how creepy it is that so many other people don't get it when it's so obvious? And how dangerous that is? And how freaky that is? That I'm sitting here knowing what their next moves are, knowing exactly how they're operating, seeing all the crimes they're committing. And I've got to watch zombie public go around all day, and I got to watch cops going around bugging their eyes out at the public. They're not as bad here in Austin on average. I've been in other parts of the country, though, where they've got departments where they've pushed a thugism, and I mean, it is disgusting. These are idiots having their food and water jacked, their children slow killed, their whole future destroyed, their pension funds already raided. They just haven't retired yet. That's been announced. And if you try to walk up to them in a restaurant, they will flip out. I saw a bunch of Special Forces Command people at 9/11 who I know were involved in the secret security operations. I saw them in a restaurant, and I walked up to them about it, and they all stopped eating, got up, and left. One of those places you go through and get the food, the deli, and go sit in the back. They all knew. One of them obviously knew who I was. There's even video of this on the web. I think we put it on the web. Got up and left because I walked right up about Northcom operation, PDD 51, Threat Fusion Center, code integration, and what you're doing is illegal. And they just looked at me like, one of them was a colonel, just got up and left. Because nationals, they couldn't even be there when I was saying all that stuff. I see. I got the sunglasses, pal. I see it. And I'm sick of it. I'm like Rowdy Piper. I'm like, you're going to put them on. Put them on. I'm not asking. Put them on. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to take a passel of calls. Then I'm going to get into the addendum of the Man on the Street interview that Darren McBreen did yesterday, that we premiered here yesterday on the radio/TV show, where he went out and asked folks if they know about aspartame causing brain tumors and the rest of it, stuff that's in tens of thousands of products, including most sugar candy now, and is added to all sorts of finished products, to casseroles, to TV dinners. It's just, it's in there because it's a special little thing the Defense Department masterminds want you to have. Because, Al-Qaeda admittedly works for them, and Anwar al-Awlaki, number 3 in Al-Qaeda, hung out secretly at the Pentagon, and then I predicted they'd stage his death, and 2 months later they did. I mean, that wasn't hard. Oh, cover blown, stage the death. The guy isn't dead. He's with Whitman, Price, and Haddad, basking in the Maui sun, their debt to society paid in full. We don't lie. We're the Running Man, the #1 television show in the whole wide world. And who loves you? And who do you love? It's all theater, ladies and gentlemen, till you break the matrix. And their system isn't complete yet. That's how we're on over 100 AM and FMs. XM, global shortwave, #1 on the web. But now they're coming to censor talk radio and censor the internet. They're bringing down Greece. They're bringing down Europe. They're bringing in their world government. They're announcing the tyranny. They're saying, okay, we want to use the army. I told you they've been preparing the military behind the scenes to be used against us for a long time. We had the documents, congressional hearings, but the establishment media would say, that's a conspiracy. Don't listen to that man. And they'll go out and build a straw man of fake information to then discredit that. A fake FEMA camp, a fake military drill. All the real stuff's right there. Darren was pointing out that on Snopes and all these George Soros type outfits, they discredit that aspartame is bad for you, but then go and it's straw man baloney. You see, they don't discredit the real facts. It's these tricks. You learn the tricks. They're so ridiculous. We've got all their own studies of what it does. The studies on what fluoride does. Look it up. The studies on... I mean, these GMO crops are so bad, folks, that when the honeybees eat the pollen, in major German studies, Chinese studies as well, they die. Yeah, the plant makes its own pesticide, and then you eat it. And Monsanto says, well, this fungus naturally grows on corn. Yeah, and the bugs don't eat it when it's 1/1000th of what this corn grows inside of it. And then ignorant people always send me emails going, they don't have corn that grows stuff. I'll never forget the guy at Conan's Pizza. My wife was pregnant. I went to get a pizza. The reason I mentioned she was pregnant, I remember the time, with our firstborn. And I go into Conan's Pizza, and a guy, I'm about to pick the pizza up, and he pokes me in the back. And I turn around and go, how can I help you? He goes, I used to like your show. I used to like it. I don't now. There's no such thing as spider goats. This is 10-plus years ago. And I said, well, I mean, just type it into a search engine. And he goes, no, I don't need to. You're a liar. And I said, well, you go ahead and believe whatever you want, but don't call me a liar. And don't, give me that look on your face like I've done something wrong. I go, how do you know there's not spider ghosts? He goes, I went to the University of Texas and took biology. And I said, when did you take it, in the 70s? And he goes, yeah, 1970, whatever. It was 73 or something. And I just went, okay, pal. But at first he was real self-righteous, and I didn't really bow up to him. I just said, don't call me a liar. You know what? See, his brain wasn't ready for splicing of goats and spiders. He didn't think they could do that. I mean, they'd had it for 10 years before that. They declassified it about a year before this guy confronted me. I had the CEO of one of the companies from an upstate New York base. I know they freaked out later, and it was a big fracas when he came on, boy. That upset the Pentagon. Like the time I got the director of HARP on, he started talking about how they ignite the atmosphere, and the colonel came on and shut the interview down. Oh, boy. There it is, BBC. The goats with spider genes and silk in their milk. What year is that? Point is, if you're a new listener, and you're driving around all official laughing at me right now, let me just tell you something. You better look into what I'm saying. 2012, that's just a new article on it, yeah. You better, I mean, here's an example. I get up here and say DynCorp was caught running child kidnapping rings in Europe. And DynCorp is the biggest subsidiary controller of private CPS agents in the United States. I mean, that isn't a claim. That's admitted. Go look it up. I don't care if it sounds crazy. You better look up. You don't have time